Hello, Professor Trant. I will be talking about evolution, what makes, us us, and how we got to where we are now. As we know, evolution is change in the heritable characteristics of biological populations over successive generations. Evolutionary processes give rise to biodiversity at every level of excuse me, biological organization, including the levels of subspecies, individual organisms, and molecules. Also, a repeated formation of new species, speciation, change within species, anagenesis. Yes, I think that's how you say it. And loss of species, extinction throughout the evolutionary history of life on Earth are demonstrated by shared sets of morphological and biochemical traits, including shared DNA sequences. These shared traits are more similar among species that share a more recent common ancestor and can be used to reconstruct a biological tree of life. Based on evolutionary relationships, phylogenetics, which it's just another word for that, using both existing species and fossils. The fossil record includes a progression from early biogenic graphite to microbial mat fossils to fossilized multicellular organisms. Um, Existing patterns of biodiversity have been shaped both by speciation, and by extinction. In the mid 19th century, Charles Darwin formulated the scientific theory of evolution by natural selection, published in his book on the origin of species, which was written in 1859. Evolution by natural selection is a process first demonstrated by the observation that often more offspring are produced than can possibly survive. This is followed by three observable facts in living organisms. The first one is traits vary among individuals with respect to morphology, physiology, and behavior, or another word for that is phenotypic variation. The second thing is different traits confer different rates of survival and reproduction, differential fitness. The third one is traits can be passed from generation to generation. It's a heritability of fitness. Thus, in successive generations, members of a population are replaced by progeny of parents better adapted to survive and reproduce in the biophysical environment in which natural selection takes place. This telonomy is the quality whereby the process of natural selection creates and preserves traits that are seemingly fitted for the functional roles they perform. The processes by which the changes occur from one generation to another are called evolutionary processes or mechanisms. The four widely recognized evolutionary processes are natural selection, including sexual selection, genetic drift, mutation, and gene migration due to genetic admixture. Natural selection and genetic drift sort variation, mutation, and gene migration create variation. The consequences of selection can include meiotic drive, which is unequal transmission of certain alleles, non-random mating, and genetic hitchhiking. In the early 20th century, the modern evolutionary synthesis integrated classical genetics with Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection through the discipline of population genetics. The importance of natural selection as a cause of evolution was accepted into other branches of biology. Moreover, previously held notions about evolution, such as orthogenesis, evolutionism, and other beliefs about innate progress within the natural scale trends in evolution became obsolete. Scientists continue to study various aspects of evolutionary biology by forming and testing hypotheses, constructing mathematical models of theoretical biology and by biological theories, using observational data, and performing experiments in both the field and the laboratory. All life on Earth, of course, shares a common ancestor known as the last universal common ancestor, or LUCA, which lived approximately 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago. A December 2017 report stated that 3.45 billion year old Australian rocks once contained microorganisms, the earliest direct evidence of life on Earth. Nonetheless, this should be assumed to be the first living organism on Earth. A study in 2015 found remains of biotic life from 4.1 billion years ago in ancient rocks in Western Australia. In July 2016, scientists reported identifying a set of 355 genes from the LUCA, also known as last universal common ancestor, of all organisms living on Earth. More than 99% of all species that ever lived on Earth are estimated to be extinct. Estimates of Earth current species range from 10 to 14 million, of which about 1.9 are estimated to have been named and 1.6 million documented in the central database to date. Excuse me. More recently, in May 2016, scientists reported that 1 trillion species are estimated to be on Earth currently, with only 1,000th of 1% described. In terms of practical application, an understanding of evolution has been instrumental to developments in numerous scientific and industrial fields, including agriculture, human and veterinary medicine, and the life sciences in general. Discoveries in evolutionary biology have made a serious impact not just in the traditional branches of biology, but also in other academic disciplines, including biological anthropology and evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary computation and subfield of artificial intelligence involves application of Darwin's principles to problems in computer science. And that sums up what is known about evolution.